So today we're making a flower ornament or a flower decoration for a beautiful flower in our family. And just want to show you here the base of the flower, the stem. Just took some green ribbon and taped it together a couple different angles to kind of demonstrate how the flower stem would look. Put it together in a way so that the natural curve of the stem was going opposite directions and just creates a little lifelike look. Again, not trying to do everything symmetrical because, things in nature aren't symmetrical. Then put a little bit of curve on the end of each of the leaves just to give it a little extra cool look that way. I do have to warn you, I have incredible trimming skills, and you're about to see those demonstrated right here. So just watch at how quickly I can get this done. So maybe you can do that too, I don't know, but I'm pretty awesome. Anyway, I got that done, and then stems are typically rolled, they're typically round, and so I rolled up the stem, and I'm going to design it that way, created that little stand so that I could put it in there. Now this is the middle piece that's actually going to hold the flower, and so I rolled that up a little bit and folded the top part to create a base to add on to. So just going to tape that into a round shape and then get that put in with a flower base as well. So I'm not going to put it all the way together yet because I'm not exactly sure at this point what the flower is going to look like and how we're going to work everything out. But you just got a basic framework for it. So I'm just going to stick that in there for now, and then once I get things figured out what's going to happen, then we'll put it in there for sure. Next thing we're doing here is we're making the flower, and want to make it fairly small but still colorful and all that. So I decided to go with kind of like a 3-leaf clover kind of idea here. And I think when I put the ribbon together, it's going to look a little bit carnation-y. But I'm not trying to replicate any particular kind of flower, just make it look like a flower would look. And this fabric, this ribbon here is actually a fabric, and so tape is not a good choice. So I thought hot glue would be the way to go. Now you can see what I'm doing is the first piece there, I'm putting it underneath when I glue that together. And then when I bring the second piece around, I want to put that around there so that the ribbon that comes underneath now is going to be at a good angle coming out the other side, so that when I fold it back around for the third leaf, it's in a good spot. So little glue there right in the middle, and parental caution, do not put hot glue on ribbon between your fingers. That's really, really dangerous, but I'm not really all that bright, so I guess I'll do it. Anyway, so you can see that's coming out at a little bit of an angle there for the third thing, so that when I wrap that around, the angles are symmetrical and I end up with a nice thing there. So again, do not take your hot glue gun and put hot glue on a ribbon in between your fingers, because that's a good way to burn yourself. So I'm just a moron. I don't know exactly how you do it otherwise, but please do not follow my example. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I have a little bit extra there, and I'm going to cut that off, trim that off. Wanted to make sure it was cooled down before I did that so it didn't fall apart, but a little trim there. And there's the beginning of the flower. Now, obviously, that doesn't look much like a flower, so I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of those and put them one inside another. So the next piece here is the lighter pink. I could have gone with a lighter pink as the inside and the darker pink on the outside. I don't know if it would look better or not, but what would you do? Let me know. What kind of colors do you think you would use? But I'm going to do the same basic shape. However, this time I'm making the pieces a little bit longer. So this next piece is a little bit bigger, and that will enable it to sit, the first piece I made to sit inside of that. So the assembly process is very much the same thing. Just going to, make fold the ribbon the same way, a little hot glue, bring it around, and then do the next pieces as well with that. So now's the time where someone who's really, really talented at talking and coming up with great stuff to say, they would say all that kind of thing. I'm not really that guy. I just enjoy building stuff. So again, lining up that angle, you can see the angle. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've planned that so that the ribbon is coming out at an angle on the back side, so that that's an appropriate angle for making that third loop. Again, do not use your hot glue gun between your fingers, because that's really dangerous. That's all right. That's all I have to say about that. This part of the video should probably be edited down, shouldn't it? Or at least sped up, because you've already seen this before. Third loop. Same thing. Could probably put that drop of glue on the piece on the table and then loop it around and put it in place. Or I could use some tweezers or something to hold that so that my fingers weren't right there to get burned by that glue. Thankfully, I didn't burn myself, just a little dollop, and I was okay. But you don't want to do that. Burning yourself with a hot glue gun's not fun. There we go. Second piece done. Gonna trim that off as well. But that should, that first piece that I made then just angles and fits right inside there. I think that looks pretty good. Looks like a ribbon, but. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is put the flower on the stem here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually attach that stem into the flower. And so I'm doing this with hot glue. Got to be really careful with this, because that ribbon does not hold up well to hot glue. The glue is too hot and it actually melts the ribbon itself. So just I'm making sure the tip didn't touch the ribbon, and then put that up there at the right angle to put that in place. So there's that. I'm going to trim that placeholder down, or the little tab there that the actual flower is going to be attached to, because I felt like it was a little too big. I didn't need that much room for the glue, and I didn't want it sticking out on the sides there. So there it is. Little flower is going to go in place there. So I did that, and then little hot glue. And if you watch closely, you can see that the hot glue actually melts the ribbon here. And it kind of disintegrates a little bit there, but thankfully there's enough glue that it just created a good little glob there for the ribbon to be attached to, the flower to be attached to. So once that was in place, I thought it looked pretty good, but I also noticed that that center stem was sagging. So I thought it'd probably be best to strengthen that stem. So the way I did that is I cut out another piece of stem, and I took the natural curve of that stem and I put it the opposite direction, so that would help reinforce that. And then I just used a piece of two-sided tape there, double-sided tape, to tape that on the back side of that stem. And so that creates a little bit of strength to that, and then just throw an extra piece of tape on there a little bit lower, and that enables then me to have a little stronger stem. Not exactly sure what I was doing there. Oh, I was taping on the flower, and I cut that piece a little bit too long for what I was doing, but I'd rather do that than have it too short for what I was doing. So then I was able to cut off exactly what I needed to cut off. And then, again, tape that bottom part down in place so that you can see the double-sided tape there in my fingers to put that in place. fold that down. So that's that. Now I'm rolling up that center stem a little bit, and then I've got a little piece of tape there to wrap around that stem to keep that stem kind of rolled up, which again is going to provide a little bit more stability to that so that the flower stands up a little better. And there it is. My flower's done, and I'm about ready to put it in place. So you can see, so the gift I wrapped up in that Band-Aid box, that Equate Sheer Band-Aid box. And then what I also am doing is I'm creating a little flower pot to go on top of that. So I've just cut out some cardboard scraps to make this flower pot out of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a top on that flower pot, and that top is going to have a hole in it. And so the flower can go down inside that hole and have a specific space in the pot to stand. So I used a screw there to create the hole, and then just tape that to the top of that little piece. Then what I also did is I cut a piece for the inside of the pot and another piece with another hole in it, and this piece on the inside, then you can see me poking the hole for that with a pair of scissors. The piece on the inside then is what that's going to do is that's going to create a second level of support for the flower so that it stands up straight and the base of the flower doesn't move around too much, but it stands up straight. So I just put that all together with a little bit of tape, and then put the piece on the inside to create the support that's a little bit lower down. So now all I got to do is wrap things up and wrap up the package. Pretty simple. Again, my super speed skills are amazing in this particular arena. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that pot a little bit too, so just to give it a little bit of texture. So I just basically cut a piece to wrap around it, and I probably cut it a little bit too long. Maybe should have been a little bit shorter, but I kind of like the way it turned out when it was all done. So I created a piece over the top to hide the tape that's holding that top piece on there, and then wrapped around the sides and taped that around the sides. And now I have that extra paper that's sticking out at the top, and so I just cut little strips out of all that to create some texture. Like I said, that probably could have been a little bit closer, a little bit shorter, but I like the way it turned out. I crinkled those pieces of paper a little bit to create some texture to it. And then when I'm all done with that, then the flower can go in there. That can be pretty cool. I also took, I don't know if I have it on the video, but I also wrapped a piece of ribbon around that flower pot. Okay, so I'm completing the assembly here. Just going to put the flower that I made into the flower pot and just going through that hole in the top and then working it in so that I can get it through that second hole in that piece that I put down a little bit lower to make sure that it's held upright. And you can see the ribbon there that I put around the pot. Now I'm just going to use a little hot glue on the bottom of the pot. I also hot glued the flower in there so it wouldn't fall out. And just glued that flower pot onto the top of the package so that it wouldn't fall off. And there it is. There is my beautiful flower for our beautiful flower.